Welcome to Two Peas on a Pod, the podcast where we explore connection, friendship, and the relationships that shape who we are and who we're becoming. I'm your host, Dr. Miriam Kermeyer. I'm a clinical psychologist, friendship expert, and speaker on human connection and social support. I also happen to be someone who strongly believes that the smartest person you know watches reality television. Yes, for the escapism, but also because few things reveal human behavior quite like watching people fall in love, form alliances, spiral publicly, and attempt conflict resolution beside an infinity pool. Today's guests are Ashley Iaconetti and Naz Perez, who first met through the Bachelor franchise and went on to build a real friendship behind the scenes while working to create some truly iconic reality TV moments. We get into what it looks like to build close, trusting friendships in high-pressure environments, the unexpected intimacy of working together creatively, and how friendships can grow in spaces that are intentionally designed for drama. And make sure that you stick around until the end of the episode. No, of course, there is no rose ceremony, but I will be sharing some friendly reminders inspired by Ashley and Naz's friendship story. And so with that, let's get into today's conversation. It's time to meet our friends. Today, I'm sitting down with Ashley Iaconetti. Ashley has been keeping it real on reality TV since The Bachelor season 19. And after becoming a fan favorite on Bachelor in Paradise, she's now living happily ever after as a real housewife in Rhode Island. Her bestie is Naz Perez, a seasoned TV host, producer, and podcaster who you know from E! And Fandango. She's interviewed some of the biggest stars in the world, and today she's generously giving us the mic for a few questions of our own. Today, these two peas on our pod are talking about the realities of their friendship. Ashley, Naz, we just met the two of you, and now, to kick things off, I would love to know how the two of you met. Tell us about your friendship origin story.
Okay, wait. I want to go first just because I have this. I'm sure she has the exact same memory. She walked into my hotel room in which we're secluded for about 5 days leading up to filming Bachelor in Paradise 2. And I had loved my producers on The Bachelor. And I was like, no new producers. Just want to talk to the ones that I've already revealed my heart to. And then she walked into the room in a black leather jacket, like a really cool one, and like a biker jacket and red lips. And we started talking about the color Ruby Woo from MAC Cosmetics. And she immediately knew what we were talking about. And my sister was also in the cast, immediately took to her. And we were like, oh, okay, never mind. I can be friends with this one. One more new friend.
Yeah. I love that. Was that your recollection as well, Naz?
I had known who Ashley was before Ashley knew who I was because Ashley was previously on Bachelor. But she was on a season before I had worked there, on Chris Soules' season. And so I had watched her season and I just thought she was the coolest, funniest, Kardashian version of a Bachelor cast member.
Coolest.
Yeah. And, she wore makeup and I loved makeup and I love the Kardashians. And this was all really surface level stuff, right? Because it's all first impression. I didn't know who she actually was. But her 2-on-1 was so funny. And I was like, oh, she's funny too. And then the reason why Ashley asked me if I was cast or date is because there's two different types of producers on the show. There's cast producers and date producers. And on the big show, after Ashley left, I was a date producer on Caitlin Bristow's season. And then on Bachelor in Paradise season 2, which was the first season Ashley was on, I was asked to join the cast team. And I don't even want to use the word assigned. You kind of get assigned some. I guess you do technically get assigned someone, but it's very fluid. It can change. If you meet the cast and you don't get along with them, you're not assigned to them anymore. It's kind of go meet these people and see how you click. And then, same story that Ashley said. As soon as I walked in, we talked about the iconic red lipstick from MAC called Ruby Woo. And she had this whole, she brought this entire, it was it looked like a camera case, but it was an open, glam case. Do you remember that, Ash? Was that on Bachelor in Paradise season 2?
On Bachelor, the lighting wasn't good and you never had access to your own mirror. You were always fighting for mirror space. So I decided to bring like my own pack up vanity.
Love that.
Yeah. So I guess you could say we really vibed on how vain we were.
Yeah.
Because I was like, she cares about the light.
Well, look, what started off as a surface level connection or chit chat has clearly blossomed into something much deeper. And I love, Ashley, that you point out that piece of like, no new producers, no new friends, which I think is a mentality that a lot of people have in their lives. Off camera as well. If I have my friends, I have my people, I'm good. I don't need to go through the hurdles of meeting someone new, of some of the awkwardness that can come up in those early conversations. And yet, even when we step into a space with that mentality, sometimes we meet somebody where it does just click and it kind of creates a little bit more openness. And I love that was there. So how did your friendship then evolve throughout that season and over time? There was this early connection, noticing you both were into similar things and could kind of joke and banter and kibitz back and forth about the makeup and about the vanity. What happened after that?
I'm not sure if it was our first conversation. It probably was, that Naz was like, something that we have in common is that I've also never had a boyfriend and I'm in my mid-20s. So that is like a little bit deeper. That was a bond that we had the entire time, especially as I met my husband like the day after I met Naz, which is crazy that like I met one of my best friends and then the next day or so later, I met my future husband, and our relationship it was complicated, very complicated at first because it was love at first sight for me and not for him. And Naz was on my side being my producer and my friend, navigating me through all that heartache.
So being able to have those deeper conversations as you're talking about and be there for each other in a really hugely important time. I would imagine that absolutely played a role in terms of the closeness that you feel.
Yeah, I think what's so beautiful about the format of the show is that you put your life away, like even your phone away, and you're just completely engrossed in this world to connect and meet someone else. And especially at the time that Ashley was on the show, social media wasn't a big thing. Like people truly were on the show to find a partner, I felt. And yeah, I think why I also was so magnetized by Ashley on Chris's season is because she had never had a boyfriend and she was so unapologetic about it and so willing to share that. And I feel like that was a part of myself that I didn't really accept, that I thought was like maybe cringy or unlovable. And especially in society, like women that are in their late 20s, early 30s at the time. This was like, what year was this, Ash? 2015
yeah.
Or 2016? 2015. So it's like, this is over 10 years ago. It still kind of is like this now, but back then it really was like...
Well, it's getting less weird, quote weird, because I feel like I'm feeling like I meet a whole bunch of girls in their 20s now that have never had boyfriends. But back then it certainly wasn't a norm.
It wasn't a norm at all, which is why Ashley was such a polarizing figure on the show and in pop culture. And yeah, we would be looked at as like weird for not having a boyfriend, or that something was like wrong with us. And so she mentioned she met Jared. So to be on the other side of the camera interviewing someone in the most vulnerable moments that like I to this day have been scared to share myself, like parts of myself, Ashley would share with the world in front of the camera. And so we developed this like, it was a producer cast relationship, but Ashley really just became like a sister. And her sister was on the show too. And I just immediately felt like we had been, like I was like I don't know, it just felt familial. And there's a texture to a feeling of friendship. People either feel like home or they feel weird.
Yeah.
And Ashley and Lauren really felt like home to me. And I was like, I feel like they really understand how I am because I'm kind of like them in a lot of ways.
I love that. Again, the similarities are persisting, right? Like that seems to be the theme. And here we're talking about something not at all superficial in terms of a life experience, but also maybe some of those feelings that you were holding inside about that. And it's so nice to have that person that you can turn to say, oh, we share that in common. And also, I love the way that you relate to that part of yourself. And that's teaching me to relate to that part of myself differently. I think that's so beautiful. I'm fascinated by this because when I heard that you were Ashley's producer, to me immediately, and you know, I have obviously never been on reality television, but I can imagine that in a lot of ways, yes, there's this budding or blossoming friendship, but there's also this dual relationship at play where on the one hand, you're building a relationship, on the other, you're coworkers in a sense, and you are also working hard to get a particular story out of that conversation or be able to have a conversation on camera that will lead to the unfolding of that season. And so part of what I'm wondering about is how you navigated that dual relationship together in a way that obviously allowed you both to do the job that you were there to do, but also preserve the integrity of this connection. So how did you think about those two things at the same time? Now let's go.
So season 2, my first season of Bachelor in Paradise 2, we had just met. We obviously had a great chemistry, and it was fun to have a really friendly relationship with the producer who's asking you super intimate questions. But what's really interesting is her being my producer on Bachelor in Paradise season 3, where even though her bosses probably wouldn't love it, she definitely was more my friend than my producer, which made things really nice for me. But Naz, tell them what they did.
Well, also because throughout that year, I still continued to work on Bachelor, but Ashley and we became friends that year, right?
Such good friends. What do you mean? We were like, you would always at my apartment all the time. And then I'd be like, oh, you're leaving for 2 months.
Right.
What am I going to do?
Because you moved to LA after.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened was Ashley didn't live in LA. After that season, she moved to LA. So she became like a real friend this whole year while I'm still working on the show. Obviously, throughout that year, her friendship and feelings for Jared developed like even stronger. But her and Jared still weren't together. They were just friends. Ashley's absolutely right. It was extremely, extremely hard for me to be a producer on the show with her the second time around because this was the cast member Ashley was like family to me, like so close. So, and she liked Jared so much. I mean, she truly just felt the future is what I always say, because like, I think that's what's so iconic about the whole thing. But it was to the point where the show was introducing a woman that Jared, I don't know if he was like mildly interested in, or just a woman that they knew maybe Jared would potentially like seek like interest in asking out. And that this woman was going to come onto the show. As a producer on the show, they didn't even tell me she was coming because they knew how close I was with Ashley. So when this cast member arrived, I was absolutely verklempt. And there's a scene where Ashley, you can literally YouTube Ashley yelling at a parrot in Bachelor in Paradise. And Ashley's yelling at me like, you always liked her. You knew she was coming. And I'm like, I had no idea she was going to be here. And so it was really hard for me to navigate. I lost like a lot of sleep. But yeah, they turned me into a parrot, and those scenes ended up being great TV. But definitely traumatized as like someone who like was looking out for my best friend, but I'm also getting paid by this company to like help produce a show. But I think last thing I'll say was what was so good about me and Ashley's relationship and me being new as a cast producer the first time I met her is that I was just always just a human first. I think that's why I was so good at it. I never looked at it as like how the other producers did of like, oh, like with any type of sort of manipulative energy or calculation. I was always just like, oh, I'm going to be the most human with them in this experience. And I think that's going to bring out the most human within them, and it kind of worked. So
yeah. Well, and I would imagine that would work on both sides. It works in terms of bringing out the most humanity from the people that you're having a conversation with, parrot or otherwise, but it also works in terms of building then that genuine connection. It's interesting. Yeah. So you had this approach in your mind of I'm just going to be me, I'm just going to be real, and that's going to do what it needs to do. Ashley, from your perspective, what do you think it was that Naz was doing that helped you to pick up on that authenticity and this feeling of she has, you know, she sees me as a human first, and maybe even as a friend first at some point, as opposed to a contestant, and she has my best interest at heart?
I don't know. That's a hard question to answer. Like, it's just a feeling, you know? she cares about people so much, and she is always truly rooting for her friends in a way that like I don't know that I've ever had another friend where it's like you could be like really thriving and everything's going for you, and she could be in a bad spot and she doesn't have any jealousy. It's crazy. Like she fully roots her friends on.
You know what's so funny is I would say the same. I feel like well, the first thing I was going to say before I say that is I've really tried to like dive into what it is that makes me feel so at home with Ashley and Lauren, because I've met so many other friends and I've been really lucky in the friend department where I've done the hard adult thing that most women don't do at my age, which is break up with friends that don't feel aligned. So all of my friends in my life are very aligned.
Mm-hmm.
There's no energy of concealment between us, which I feel with even some of my friends now. Like I think we all really wear our heart on our sleeve. Like I'm never wondering, like when Ashley says something to me, I'm never wondering if she actually means that or if anything I did actually like upset her. I mean, sometimes I do, and that's like my own anxiety. Ash, I feel the same way about you. I feel like you could be really thriving. Like a perfect example of this, and this goes back to our vanity, which I like unabashedly love. But Ashley introduced me to like
Our injector,
like Botox and fillers and all yeah. And I actually don't even know if that's true, Ash, because someone asked me for the injector and I was like, I felt very gatekeepy with it.
Oh, really?
Like I was like, oh, I don't know. Yeah, like I noticed myself. I was like, oh, and then I remembered how loving and willing you were, and I was like, oh, I need to be more like Ash. You know, like it was just. I think we're similar in that way.
I love to spread the gospel that is Botox.
But little things like that, you know, like it's like Ashley wasn't keeping anything from me. She also brings people with her. Like the Backstreet Boys are my favorite band of all time. Like whenever she got like free, as her fame like got bigger and bigger, she would like invite her close friends to sort of ride those coattails along with her, which was like really fun.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like part of what was keeping in line with that theme of being real, you use this word concealment. So interesting is that part of what was going on was just that feeling of you're included. Like you're included in this experience. I want to celebrate this with you. I'm including myself in your moment of celebration, or I'm choosing to share this information with you and to keep it real in that way. Why do you think it is in maybe other friendships even or other dynamics, we can feel that need or that tendency to conceal, to feel like it's not safe to share this, or this feels a little bit more competitive, or this is something that I don't necessarily want to bring someone along to? And what is it about this connection that just makes that so different?
Naz, you have a good answer, because I know the feeling that the lack of concealment is actually, it's very intuitive of you to like pinpoint.
I think what I'm pinpointing is that Ashley and Lauren and I aren't very judgy towards each other, and we're very much like come as you are, and we are very welcoming of the whole of that person, all the parts. So all the parts feel safe. The parts that maybe you're embarrassed about yourself over. The three of us have a really good sense of humor about our flaws, our own shortcomings.
Yeah.
And so because we love those parts of ourselves, we're able to like make fun of that, you know, and nothing's taken too seriously. So it almost feels like a lack of, you feel unsafe with other people because you don't know if they're going to accept certain parts of you. And I know Ashley and Lauren are going to accept me like even in my worst days, you know, or for my most judgiest, violent, like my worst human thoughts, you know, that you never share, I could share with Ashley and Lauren, and they would like understand it and not like think of me differently for it.
We also don't agree on like all lifestyle things. Like I make fun of Naz for being woo-woo all the time. And at least like we have like a good sense of humor about ourselves, I feel like. So I can make fun of her and then she could be like, yeah, you know, she'll laugh at it, but then also defend herself. And I will accept the defense and just be like, we're just on different, like we just understand that we are different and we're okay with that.
Yeah, we don't need each other to like change.
No, I love that. We talk a lot about that here, the kind of overlap, the Venn diagram of friendship, and how there will be those things at the center, those commonalities, those similarities that connect you initially and that bring you together. And over time, you're discovering more of your individual circles. And the best friendships are those where there can be that awareness and appreciation of the things that we share in common and all of the ways that we differ, and that that's okay, and that that doesn't feel like a threat to our connection. I'm not worried that we're going to get into a conflict if we don't see things exactly the same. I'm not worried that we're not going to have enough holding us together if we diverge and have different interests or activities that we want to participate in. And so this is such a good example of that. And I really love that you're labeling the use of humor as kind of just a part and parcel of your friendship, but also it sounds like a little bit as a strategy of when we're entering into a conversation or talking about one of those areas of difference, there's this lighthearted teasing that allows us to just kind of accept this and then have that be a moment of connection as well, because you're connecting over your shared sense of humor, even if the thing you're joking about is completely different in terms of your perspective on it. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so fun.
It's so important. Like, I'm realizing this as I'm like navigating current situations in my life now. Like, it's so much easier when you are interacting with people who don't take themselves too seriously.
It really is. I feel as I wear my Rhode Island Housewives shirt. I understand.
Wait, that sweatshirt is sick. I want one. That's so cool.
Let's talk a little bit about this conversational piece. I want to get into the weeds a little bit because, Naz, you've been described as a cultural conversationalist, which I absolutely love. And Ashley, everyone always appreciates the realness that you bring to conversations. And I think we're hearing that already, just in terms of the dynamic that you're describing. And so I want to take a closer look at some of the conversations and communication patterns and strategies that you have found to be really helpful and meaningful in your friendship. Can you think of some of the best conversations that the two of you have had together? The ones that were either the most memorable that stand out, or the ones that were really, truly kind of valuable in terms of strengthening your friendship over time?
I can think of monumental moments. That parrot one was one of them. Just us navigating the whole Bachelor in Paradise like relationship situation together was obviously very meaningful.
I also remember one where we both love Sex in the City, and so does her sister. So our podcast became like a Sex in the City psychological dissecting of episodes and men and dating. And we came up with a theory that every woman has a big in their life. And I remember I saw my big shortly after at Erewhon, before anyone would shop at Erewhon, with another girl. And I remember I FaceTimed you and your mom, and I just felt like I was dying. Yes. I just remember Ashley held me so beautifully in that moment. And I think it's like those conversations again, where it's the scariest parts of you that you don't want to share with anyone, like that you don't want to admit that I wanted to like die when I saw this guy with another girl. But Ashley is just able to hold those spaces so safely.
Traumatizing. I remember.
Traumatizing.
The empathy that you have for a friend, for each other in those moments, like you feel that same sense of, oh, I'm traumatized by this. Yeah. I'm wondering, so you had your relationship on The Bachelor and Bachelor in Paradise, and we're navigating the complexities of being a producer and being produced in a sense, although what we hear is, again, friendship first in a big way. Then you went on to strengthen your friendship and eventually create this podcast together. Now that you are this close and now that you have this dynamic in your friendship, could you ever go back and enter into a relationship like the one that you had all those years ago in terms of stepping into that producer role and being produced in a sense? Do you think that would be a dynamic you could step back into and navigate, or would that be even more challenging or maybe even easier nowadays?
I could never do it.
I would love it.
Well, I've been getting so many messages.
Oh my gosh, I would be such better TV if Naz was my producer on Housewives.
That's such a beautiful. Wow, I got to clip that off and put that on my LinkedIn.
And then all the other producers are gonna text me and be like, "Wow."
When I posted, because Ashley surprised me on my birthday, she was coming to LA anyway, and we drove to Sunset to see Ashley on her first billboard ever on Sunset Boulevard. It was like such an iconic full circle moment because we had been in LA and and all these like apartments together. But I didn't tell you this, Ash, when I posted that, I got so many DMs of people being like, reality TV needs you. Like, you need to start producing again.
Yeah, I know. You do. You're so good.
I fucking wish. I mean, I would get paid so much more than I'm getting paid now. But yeah, I don't have any interest. The answer is no, I wouldn't be able to do that. I do think that there is a manipulative energy to that type of occupation. I feel the same with marketing. I launched a course on how to interview people at nazperez.com. It's called How to Curate a Killer Interview. And even in me marketing myself, Dr. Miriam, like in posting about it, it does not come natural to me to like have to sell people on things. It's like, so no, I don't think I would ever do that again, unless I was like executive producing my own show.
I also think that I would start laughing too much if Naz was my producer. I'd be like, Naz, come on. I know that's a producer question.
Do you ever find that you're entering into that dynamic even like casually nowadays? Where like, oh, you have your producer hat on, that's a producer question. Or do you feel like that type of dynamic is long behind you?
What's funny about that question, Dr. Miriam, is that now in Ashley's relationship to Jared, I'm moving through like a sort of similar parallel experience in my life. And I do find that now I'm relying on Ashley to kind of be my producer in some ways.
Aww.
And sort of navigate like this experience. So that's been like funny for me.
That is true. She's been watching old videos of me on TV and being like, oh my God, you're my spirit guide right now. I'm like, what? It's
like all the stuff that I like was there for in person 10 years ago, but it's almost like old Ashley that I produced over 10 years ago. I'm now watching clips and I'm like, oh my God, I need to embody this energy in my life right now.
I want to actually slow it down and pause here for a second, because you're making me think of this in a really different and interesting way. I think very often we can have this mindset, like what we've discussed, where being in the producer role, it can be, depending on style and context, of course, inherently manipulative, or that you're trying to, focus on getting the best storyline out of someone. And yet, this is kind of making me think that part of what you're doing in that producer role is trying to help someone tell their story. And it's funny, you said that when Naz asked the question of like, how do you feel? That's a very producery question. That's also a very therapist-y question, right? How do you feel in this moment? And so I kind of wonder, like, what can we all learn about how we can help our friends tell their story and better access what it is that they're feeling and communicate that either to themselves, to us as their friends, or to other people? Like, how do you think we can be that helpful, supportive producer to a friend that helps them get in touch with their experience and communicate that?
I think what you're making me realize is that I think I didn't realize this till this moment, until you said that, Dr. Miriam, but I think I am such a good friend, even to my other friends outside Ashley, because I was a producer. I'm like now realizing that, because I've realized, and this is advice for anyone listening, is that when I'm going through something, I want someone to hold the possibility that anything can happen, especially the positive. And I notice that when I bring like a challenging experience to other friends that's not Ashley, it's always sort of consoling me on worst case scenario, when I really just want a cheerleader, which I think I do for other people, where I'm like, but what if it goes great? Yeah. Or like, what if you do get the job? Or what if the guy actually is in love with you? And so I think I'm now realizing that that's probably part of like the training I had as a producer, is like, let's leave space for all of it to happen. And let's like hold best case scenario with you. And I think Ashley does that for me, even if I don't know if she believes it deep down, but I think it's important to hold that for another person. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes so much sense, to hold the possibility that things might be better than you imagine. They might be much better than you're anticipating. And I think so often those what if questions that we ask ourselves, that we ask, our friends to weigh in on, the what if question is coming from a place of dread. And to your point, what I'm hearing is asking ourselves, what if things work out, right? Or being able to kind of help a friend. This is going to sound even more therapist-y than how do you feel, but help a friend hold space for that outcome. What if things really work out? That can be a really supportive gesture and a really appreciated place that we don't always have the space to sit in, especially with other people. I love that. Let's talk a little bit about your podcast. So you famously hosted a podcast together, I Don't Get It, along with Ashley's sister, Lauren. I'm wondering, what is a moment where you felt like the other person here in your friendship didn't get it, didn't get your feelings, didn't get what you were going through? And how did you navigate those conversations?
Ashley, go first.
I feel like when Naz didn't get herself for a little bit, when she went through some turmoil work-wise a few years ago and then had to work her way out of it, it was just like, what are you doing? A lot of the times.
Wait, I'm confused. Say more.
When you went to like the mountain, the vagina mountain and stuff, and you got your hoo-hoo.
Oh,
your hoo-hoo cleaned out. I'm like, I don't know what she needs right now, but I don't think it's this.
Yeah, so I went through the worst year of my life was 2024, where I had like seemingly lost everything. I like lost my job and like and this guy I was dating that was like a twin flame, and my health went to shit. And I was so depressed. I was in so much heartbreak. I kind of went on like an Elizabeth Gilbert eat, pray, love.
At that time, I was either pregnant with my second or just had my second. And I was just like so grounded in like mom life. And it's like, she doesn't even know how chaotic my life is over here. So it's just like totally different. Like could not be more different lifestyles. We got to like that point. But I feel like now it's just like it's settled out a bit in every way.
Which is a good thing to bring up, because that was like, I mean, it was painful when Ashley left LA. It was painful when Ashley actually did get with Jared on my end, which a lot of people won't admit. Not in like a horrible way, but in the way where it's like, you spent all this time with this person, and inevitably that person is now not going to spend that much time with you. Even when Lauren moved to LA, her sister, I like wasn't hanging out with Ashley as much. So I think that was always like, and I had dealt with that with other friends, you know, so I'm used to that. And then when your friend has a baby and you're single, it's like, what friends haven't been through that? Yeah, it's a unique sort of challenging life cycle that friends have to move through when you're like single and not dating someone and your friend's married and has kids. It's just different.
Vagina.
Are there conversations? Yeah, that was a story that maybe needed a little bit of expanding on.
Yeah, I went to Chipotle to heal my womb because I have fibroids. So I've been doing a lot of like spiritual work and holistic work in terms of like healing.
No, well, I mean, thank you for expanding. But here's how I'm thinking about this and wondering about this. You used the word settling before, Ashley, in terms of, you know, we enter into a new relationship, the dynamic gets shifted, and over time things settle. We become a parent. Of course, that disrupts everything. And over time, you settle into that role, perhaps in a different way. Was there anything that you were doing together, too, that allowed for that settling to happen, or kind of the new normal to unfold in terms of conversations that you had, in terms of how you helped each other to feel like a priority, even when time was stretched and you had really different routines?
I feel like because we had the podcast, sometimes the podcast would make connecting feel like a job, because it like was our job to connect on the podcast every week. So I actually think for us, I mean, that's great. And we love hosting the podcast, and, you know, we would want to do another one in the future for sure. But I think that sometimes it's nice to have a break from just like the job talk, and then to like even have a few weeks where you don't talk, and then I see her in real life, because I'm a real life communicator. I'm not the hugest phone talker. Like last night she called me and like she needed to talk then. And that is like the moment where I'm like, oh, I'm totally here for you digitally. But I usually prefer to connect in person. So like the more that Naz and I have times in person is usually when we get like our biggest laughs and our biggest understandings of each other. And I feel like that time where she went to Vagina Mountain was probably a time where I don't even think I'd seen you for like a year in person.
No, we hadn't seen each other. And that was also, I think that was also unique. I think you're absolutely right to pinpoint that it felt like a job. Because remember, I did text you and Lauren. I forgot about that, saying like I was really feeling like the lack of connection in our friendship, because Ashley and Lauren aren't phone people and I am. So that was like something I really had to like regulate and like painfully move through on my own because they also don't live in LA anymore. Yeah. But I think that's the beauty of friendship is you just have to sort of it's radical acceptance of reality. And so it's not like trying to force someone to be someone they're not, but just be like, I remember when we had that phone call, Ash, remember when me, you, and Lauren caught up and I was like, I don't want to record because I need to just feel connected. Mm-hmm. We like all got on a call. And then ever since then, I felt so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's hard to like act connected on the podcast when you don't feel connected in real life. Yeah. And now I've just accepted that's how Ashley and Lauren are. I think younger me like took it way more personally and was like, oh, they don't, it's like you make up all these stories. You're like, they don't love me. They're not prioritizing me, all this stuff. But it's really not that. It's just a matter of like learning how people are. And what the beauty of all of our friendships is we can not see each other for a year and then drop in and it's like nothing,
And share all those laughs still.
Yeah.
It's interesting. This idea of radical acceptance, I think that is so huge. And I really like how that story helps us understand that radical acceptance doesn't always mean complacency. It doesn't mean that, I need to, avoid bringing up this feeling that I'm having or shy away from a potentially uncomfortable conversation. I can label, here's what I'm feeling, here's what is. I'm feeling a little bit disconnected. And then, of course, we don't have control over how someone else responds, but that conversation can sometimes create the outcome that we are really looking for, where you're able to take a step back and reconnect. And so I think that that's a really good example of how we sometimes need to think about acceptance a little differently. I want to talk about support. You mentioned this story earlier, and I want to come back to it because I personally came across your friendship through this video where Naz, you were filming Ashley seeing herself on her billboard on Sunset.
Oh, that's so cool.
Having this,
that's how you came across. It's not my billboard, guys. If you watch the show, you'll know that it's the last thing it is my billboard. I am the last on that totem pole.
Listen, I had to throw that in there after you were teased for it just before.
That's so funny.
Yeah. But what I was struck by this experience of you celebrating together, and you mentioned this earlier as something that really is at the core of your friendship, where you celebrate each other and where you are able to show up wholeheartedly for each other. So I'm wondering, what does showing up mean for each of you in this friendship? What does that look like? What does that feel like? And what makes that so special?
I would say, and it makes me emotional thinking about it because I'm like so raw and luteal right now. But I think like even Ashley, just sharing that she's like not necessarily a phone person and she has 2 kids now. She's like a real housewife. She's so busy. But knowing that yesterday was like a really tender, raw moment for me. And knowing that I could call her and like her pick up was like, I think that's what like showing up for me means the most is like just at least being there in like moments that like really matter or that like I really need your counsel.
No.
That's
yeah, I feel like the exact same way. And it's been years since I needed her, like in that sense, thankfully. Thankfully for my husband having just being him and somehow still loving me. But she was there for the exact same moments years ago, and I'm always forever grateful for that. Just like literally I knew that she would have like she would be like almost symbiotic in the moment. Like she would feel it so deeply. It was like almost herself.
If you, Ashley, could give a rose to Naz for specific qualities that she brings to your friendship, what are those friendship strengths that she embodies and brings?
Her biggest friendship strength is kind of what I was alluding to earlier. It's just like she's so supportive, biggest cheerleader, no sense of jealousy, envy, like just really wants the best for the people that she loves. And I feel like it's like such a natural human instinct to like compare and compete. And she doesn't have that for her friends. It's super duper special. Because like I think we can all be happy, but then there's like maybe sometimes a component of us that's like, oh, am I comparing? And she just doesn't have it. It's so cool.
Well, I'm human. I think we all have everything, but I, for me and Ashley and a lot of my other friends that work in entertainment, I mean, Ashley and I kind of before, she was a huge reality star. she went to Syracuse for broadcast journalism. So we technically like do the same thing. You know, we're like both hosts. And even I think there were times where we would go to the same audition like once or twice. We've auditioned for like the same thing. Oprah, I'll never forget because Oprah's written one book. It's called What I Know for Sure. And like Oprah would always ask people like, what do you know for sure? And she talks about Gail and how like the reason why Oprah's so close with Gail is because her and Gail do the same thing, but she doesn't feel one shred of envy within Gail. And she's like, and Oprah's always said, like, if you feel that from any friend, like they gotta go. And that's kind of how I've been in my life. And yeah, I would say the same about Ashley. I feel like Ashley always wants the best for me.
Well, what is a way that Ashley shows up for you that other people might not see?
Obviously, all the ones I've said, right? Like she makes me feel so safe, not envious. She's always there for me. Like Ashley just has such a big heart. So we're just a mirror to each other. Everything she loves in me. But the rose quality in Ashley that I appreciate and love the most, which is so random and I think is important to share, is Ashley's love of fantasy.
Romantic fantasy. Like not Harry Potter.
Yeah, romantic fantasy. But I think there's like an element of fantasy that some people in life don't have that Ashley and I share. And if I were to give her a rose, it's literally her bio, which is like I'm either optimistic or delusional. It's like however what's the line?
It depends on your point of view. It depends on your point of view.
It depends on your point of view. And I think that's what I've always loved about Ashley is that she's so hopeful and always thinks it'll work out. And always, she dreams so big. And it's my favorite thing about her, you know, is that she romanticizes life. Yeah.
I love that. What impact does that have on your friendship specifically? I mean, I'm thinking, and we've heard a little bit about how in those moments when things are challenging, having a friend like Ashley that you can turn to who can say, you know, what if things work out? That can be hugely helpful and powerful. What about the future of your friendship in terms of what are the hopes that you have for how your connection will continue to evolve?
Because we're both hopeful romantics, I think that we take advice from each other well, because what really angered me, and you can see it on Bachelor in Paradise, was when people would be like, it's not gonna work out. And when people didn't believe that like my relationship had wings, when they would try to give me tough love, like I don't respond well to tough love. Like, let me figure it out on my own and just give me positive vibes. And I think Naz and I both give each other positive vibes. And like sometimes we have to give each other, I guess like I've given you kind of cautious advice lately. Like I try to prepare. I hope for the best and I'm like, it may not work out, but I don't know. We always have our conversations with the air of positivity.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite part about Ashley, because I can't even say this now. I don't have a lot of friends that are that way. And I think we are that for each other. And it's exactly what she says. You just want to feel better. It's like improv. The first lesson in improv is yes and. And so you want someone to yes and. It's like, yes, and what if this happens? And the person in improv or on any stage that like you bring up a fun idea and they're like, no, that wouldn't work. It's like, you articulated it perfectly. I don't want tough love necessarily. I'm like highly emotionally intuitive and intelligent. My anxiety's already maxed out on worst case scenario. I need you to do the opposite for me.
Yeah, and like we're both like master manifestors. We fully believe in that power together, and we've really done it.
We've done everything we've ever wanted to achieve. I wanted to be the next Ryan Seacrest, Juliana Rancic on E. I did it. Like
every single A-list celebrity. The only two people that she hasn't interviewed yet is Leo and Justin Timberlake. And for some reason, like those have been my things. And I'm just like, I feel like I would have a sense of jealousy there, but I really want you to do it. I really, really do want you to do it because I need to know the details.
That might be the thing that brings out the jealous feelings that you'll have to navigate. That might be the thing.
That would be Joe Jonas.
We always said the one thing, Joe Jonas. Yes, Joe Jonas. Because one time I almost interviewed Joe Jonas, and then Ashley, it's so funny. I'm like, would Ashley ever let me date Joe Jonas? Because that's her biggest crush. She's married now.
And I was like, I guess so, but I don't know. It wouldn't, but I would tell her every day, like,
but what if I really loved him, you know?
Then I guess
a friendship so strong. A friendip so strong it can withstand Joe Jonas.
It's okay.
If we should all be so lucky.
It would be we would hang out in a great group.
I don't think so, Ashley. I think you'd be so weirded out.
No,
my whole
Naz,
marriage.
no, for real. Like then Jared and Joe could be funny friends together. It'd be great.
Great.
Yeah.
I love that we've reached this part in Dr. Miriam's podcast. One vain thing that we haven't talked about, Dr. Miriam, is that the one thing going for Ashley and Lauren and I is that we have 3 separate types. And I think that's very important to distinguish here. Because had we have the same type in men, I actually don't know if our friendship would be.
That's so funny.
Do you have the same type when it comes to your friendship? So thinking about the other friendships that you have in your lives outside of each other, do you tend to connect with similar people? Or is that too a little bit different?
When I think about like the people that I hang out with on a regular basis, Naz is like a little bit more soulful, I feel like, than most of my friends. But we do all like kind of bond over the same surface level stuff. I think like a lot of them are individually very like different in like they're different humans, but we do talk about similar things in like regular day conversation. Relationships, love, pop culture, beauty.
I think what I love about myself is I love diversity. The best thing about Ashley and Lauren is that the current big group that I hang out with all the time is very like spiritually conscious. So a lot of our conversations are amazing and deep and meet me in so many ways that I like am obsessed with. But I'm like, sometimes I just want to talk shit and eat a cheeseburger and have soda and not care. And it's like the best that I get to like be that part of Naz with Ashley and Lauren.
Love that.
And still go deep and be soulful too, but in different ways, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's some interesting research that supports this idea of essentially like relational diversity, how having different people in your life, different types of friends, that ultimately adds up to the most fulfilling social experience. And a big part of that is what you're describing, that you get to express different parts of yourself when you're around different people and you get to have different needs met. And not only does that just feel really nice and fun, it diversifies the experience in a way where one person doesn't have to be your be all and everything. And you just get to celebrate and experience the parts of them in that dynamic that are so, so special. And I think we're hearing so many of the special parts of your relationship in the conversation today, in terms of the fun, in terms of all the similarities that brought you together. And at least for me specifically, and I'm sure everyone tuning in who's listening to this is hearing the support that you have shown each other and that you continue to show each other, that really is just such a huge strength of your connection. So thank you for sharing that with us. In terms of you moved cities, Ashley, I think it's fair to say, and moved across the country to Rhode Island. And now you've started up this new chapter of your life as a real housewife. And I'm wondering about what that experience has been like for you in entering not only a new place, but a new social space and building new connections and new friendships. So partly just curious what that experience has been like for you. And then also, how have you supported each other in that process? Because it's one thing to be a supportive friend. It's another to sometimes be a supportive friend in the act of going out and making new friends. So I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
That's interesting because like a lot of friends don't like their friends getting new friends. That is definitely not Naz. And I would say that she would just be happy for me in like building a community and being comfortable living in a new space for sure. As far as like filming the show goes, Naz kind of knows that that's work for me, you know? It's not, and I've been doing it so long that it's not something that like I need a crutch for. Like if I have a very frustrating day, Jared's always going to get the lowdown on it. But then it's just like once it's aired out, like I don't really need to like call and like tell a whole bunch of people about it. And it's really because I'm seasoned in it. My poor friends on the cast, you know, who are experiencing it for the first time now, like they got to tell everyone, you know, it's like so heavy on their chest. They're also going through so much more than I did, like, because they had just so much more heaviness about what we filmed. So I just feel like I'm in a different place as far as venting about that filming goes. But I know that if I was having a hard time, that like I could definitely tell. Naz would be the greatest person to vent to, being a friend, and then of course having the TV background. And maybe that'll happen eventually, where I'm gonna need somebody with the dual perspective. But like right now, it's been, if you watch the show, you'll see that it hasn't been tough for me.
Let's finish things up with a few little traditions that we like to do here at Two Peas on a Pod. So the first is Snap Peas. So we have some rapid fire thoughts and questions, and we want to hear your answers. Are you ready?
Yeah, I love games.
Yes.
Great. Here we go.
At the same time?
Let's see. Go for it at the same time, or we'll see who answers first. Here we go. Okay. Be late together or arrive early solo.
Oh, she's arriving early, so
arrive early solo.
we saw that today.
Exactly.
I literally go. Ashley will be here in 5 minutes.
I'm bad.
I love that. Okay, who's most likely to FaceTime unannounced?
Naz.
Me.
Yeah.
First impression rose or a slow burn connection?
Oh, first impression rose.
First impression rose, yeah.
Screenshots and dissect or let it go?
Oh, screenshots and dissect.
Screenshots and dissect, yeah.
Reunion.
So fun.
Reunion glam or confessional sweats?
Confessional sweats.
I don't know. That could go either, I think.
Amazing. And in the spirit of all things Housewives, I have to know, champagne toss or table flip?
We don't do
for
either,
Ashley,
but champagne toss. If you had to pick one.
We're speaking of fantasies.
Yeah.
You get to live one out.
Yeah. When Ashley drinks...
Yeah.
When Ashley drinks like a couple drinks on reality TV, that's when TV gets really good. Because she doesn't... I don't drink anymore, really. I mean, I'll have wine here and there. But Ashley just drinks, you know, every now and then when it's fun. But when she drinks like a couple...
It's more fun for me to drink when it's happy and calm, which is never on Housewives. So like I never let the alcohol never hit my head this season because I can never let my guard down. But she knows that the few times I drank on Bachelor is like when I knew I was giving a rose to somebody that I was just like, it was great. Or I knew that I was getting a rose that night and I was like, let's have fun.
You could just relax. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you, Ashley, are one of the few people who can claim the distinction of having a Real Housewife tagline. And so this question is for both of you, though. If your friendship had a tagline, what would it be?
I mean, it's probably that quote that you said earlier. It's like, we're either optimistic or delusional, depends on your point of view.
Yeah, I can't take it because it's been hers trademarked iconically.
I don't know.
Like,
I came up with it in my head
life.
one day. I was just like, that perfectly describes me in one sentence.
I do feel very similar to that sentiment in my own life. So yeah, I think it would be like we're either optimistic or delusional. It depends on your point of view for sure.
I love that. It sounds like there's no gatekeeping with respect to beauty tips or taglines is what I'm hearing in this friendship. Yeah. Okay, and now we get to our very favorite last part of the conversation. I'm going to now ask you for one word that describes your friendship. And you are going to reveal it on the count of 3.
Ooh.
Tell me when you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
1, 2, 3.
Soulful.
Wholesome.
Oh, that one's good.
Wholesome and soulful.
That's so
very
nice.
aligned.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like Ashley, my friendship with Ashley and Lauren, but with Ashley, it just feels like a chocolate chip cookie at the bottom of your stomach.
So
like it's just so, we would rather be at home watching a movie, eating mac and cheese than like be anywhere else.
Totally.
You know?
Wholesome, soulful, chocolate chip cookie, family, comfortable. I mean, these are all of the words that you've used throughout today's conversation. And I think that feeling of, again, this is just somebody that feels like home. This is somebody I feel really connected to and comfortable with. That is so special. And so thank you for kind of shedding light on your friendship story. I really absolutely appreciate it.
Oh, thanks. This is so fun.
Thanks for having us. Yeah, I also just want to shout out Ash because I haven't talked to you, but isn't Real Housewives of Rhode Island like the highest? Is it the highest rated or like the best ever or since like Jersey or?
It's the highest debut for a Bravo Peacock show in 2 years.
Amazing.
Wow. So
I think it's like since
Excellent.
like Peacock became a thing, it's like the biggest like Peacock premiere kind of.
Naz, Ashley, thank you for an amazing conversation, a window into your friendship, and for sharing the stories and experiences that encourage us all to build closer connections and the friendships that we are all looking for. If people want to connect with either of you, where can they go?
Well, you can follow me on Instagram is where you can really get me, Ashley_Iaconetti. And please tune in to Bravo on Sunday nights or Peacock on Mondays for Real Housewives of Rhode Island.
I'm on Instagram at Naz Perez. And then if anyone wants to work with me or take my course, nazperez.com.
Amazing. Thank you so much to both of you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us, Dr. Miriam. This was so fun.
See ya.
Okay, as an unapologetic fan of reality TV, I have to say this conversation absolutely delivered. And one of the things that I loved most was that it felt like Ashley and Naz found each other when they were being the most unapologetic version of themselves. Not performing, not polishing, just fully inhabiting who they were. Today's conversation was also a reminder that deep friendship begins with a simple spark, a shared interest, a familiar energy, a moment of seeing a little bit of yourself in someone else. But over time, what bonded them wasn't just makeup. It was the lack of concealment. The safety of being in a friendship where nothing has to be hidden. And there's something incredibly powerful about that, about feeling fully seen and accepted for who you are. Ashley and Naz beautifully shared that their friendship reminds them of home and of chocolate chip cookies. And what was so nice was that those weren't just lines they were parroting. They were spontaneous, heartfelt admissions. And I loved how Ashley and Naz's friendship reminded me of our two-piece logo with the subtle little Venn diagram in the middle. Because friendship isn't about becoming identical people. It's about two distinct people finding enough overlap to build something meaningful together. Speaking of, Ashley and Naz also bonded thanks to their shared life experiences, including conversations around relationships and the experience of not having had a partner. And what struck me was that opening up honestly with each other didn't just help them build their friendship. They helped each other build and find confidence and clarity and self-trust. And there's something really interesting in there because they found this friendship in a space supposedly designed around romantic connection. This actually brings me to a thought that I've had for years about reality TV, about shows like The Bachelor. People are always so quick to question whether someone is there for the right reason or point out that these shows, do they actually work? But I've always thought that we were measuring success far too narrowly. Because yes, technically these are dating shows, but they're also relationship shows. And while the romantic success rates may be, let's call them statistically humbling, the friendship success rate, honestly, is probably pretty impressive. And maybe leaving with a lasting friendship isn't a consolation prize. Maybe it is the prize. So one final thought before it's time to end our time together, because I'm still thinking about this. I really loved the idea that came out of producing your friends, producing your friendships. And our conversation actually helped me to think about this in a totally new and unexpected way. It's not about manipulating our friends. It's about showing up and asking the right questions and sharing honestly in a way that actually allows us to bring out the best and most real version of each other, of ourselves even. So here is your friendly reminder. We are all actively involved in creating and producing our own friendships and doing so on an ongoing basis. And no, I'm not talking about doing things for the plot. I'm saying that we get to. Actually, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we have to accept that we are all responsible for having these kinds of conversations and for creating the kinds of experiences that will allow us to build the closeness that we're looking for, to unlock the possibility of what our friendships could become, and importantly, to receive the kind of support we want, whether that's practical advice, unabashed, optimistic cheerleading, lighthearted teasing, or a real reality check. And with that, I will say thank you so much for joining me on Two Peas on a Pod today. I will be right back here with you next week for another episode as usual. And in the meantime, let's make sure that we stay connected. So follow the show on your favorite podcast platform. Connect with me at the Two Peas on a Pod and at Miriam Kermeyer across social channels. And of course, make sure that you share today's episode with a friend or someone who helps you produce the best moments of your life. Until our next catch up, take care of yourself and the people in your pod. I will see you back here next week. Two Peas on a Pod is hosted by Dr. Miriam Kermeyer. Executive produced by Zoe Travis, Matthew Hoffman, Katya Kaminsky, and Dr. Miriam Kermeyer. Produced and edited by Podcast Nation. Producers, Madison Britt and Alicia Paneer. Audio engineer, Miles Carter. Original music by Sarah Walk. Created by Zoe Travis and Matthew Hoffman. Two Peas on a Pod is recorded in Montreal and Los Angeles. Today's program contains information that is for educational and entertainment purposes only. This program is not a substitute for psychological or medical advice. Please seek out your own support and research as needed. Take care, friends.